I'm Kimberly, and welcome back to Cross Stitch University. Today we're going to talk about how to read a cross stitch pattern. And the patterns are generally divided into three sections: your cross stitch information, your symbols, and your actual chart. Let's start with the cross stitch information section. Your stitch count means the number of stitches across and the number of stitches down. So on this pattern we have 71 stitches across the width and 71 stitches across the height. That is the largest part of your piece. Your finished size, we're going to talk more about in a second, but that means the finished size using the cloth provided on the pattern. The cloth will usually list the color, on this one it's lamb's wool, the count, and the manufacturer. 14 count means there are 14 squares per inch, and I'm going to demonstrate this here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We're going to use 2 strands of floss, and that's going to give us the best coverage for 14 count. Sometimes a pattern will also list where you can get the cording or any fabric that's additional for your finishing, which just makes it nice when you're trying to finish your piece. To calculate your finished size, you take your stitch count divided by your Eta count. So for this pattern, 71 divided by 14 is 5 1/8 for both width and height. If you want to change the size of your fabric and maybe use 16 count, you would take 71 divided by 16, and that's 4 1/2. So if you're ever working with a pattern and you want to change your cloth, that is how you calculate finished size. Now let's talk about the legend section of your pattern. It will usually have a symbol and a color number. And what that means is every time you see this symbol on your pattern, like here, that means you're going to make a cross stitch using this color. So we're going to use this color every time we see a diamond, and we're going to use color 907 DMC every time we see this symbol. Your pattern will also usually list how many skeins you will need, and that will correspond with the 14 count and won't be the same if you use 16 or 18 count. Sometimes they will also list the colors for you. Your legend will also have information about any specialty stitches like straight stitches or French knots, and we'll talk more about that later as we're stitching. Now let's talk about cross stitch charts. They usually have darker lines every 10 stitches. That helps you count, so let's look at how we came up with 71 stitches across. You can count this way: 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, plus 1 stitch. So that's how we came up with 71 stitches, and by having vertically and horizontally darker lines every 10 inches will help you count. Patterns also have a very thick line in the center so you can find your center point, and there should usually be arrows indicating that. So this pattern is in full color, and it makes it a lot easier to stitch because you not only have a symbol, you also have a color. So it's great for beginners. I did want to point out that some designers only provide black and white, so just consider that when you're purchasing a pattern. And that's how you read a cross stitch pattern. Have any questions? Comment below so I can answer them, and make sure to subscribe to this channel and click the bell, and it'll tell you when our next Cross Stitch University video releases. Class dismissed!